Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do a video and I woke up and I was like, should I do my hair and makeup and like look presentable? And then I was like, that's a lot of work and I just wanted to get this video done, so don't mind my hair. I'm sorry if it looks a little messy, I'm sorry if I look disheveled, but I just wanted to do this video and be as raw and real about it as possible because it's a very important topic. This is me today. Hello, good morning, how are you? Anyway, today I wanted to do a video on the top 10 myths about Lyme disease. It is still Lyme Disease Awareness Month. As May comes to a close, I wanted to make sure that I did a video before May ended. So I am using the top 10 myths that are on the globallymealliance.org website. I'll link them in the description. They have a lot of amazing info, a lot of educational information on if you get bit, what to do, a list of Lyme literate doctors, events and fundraising. They just have a lot of information on their website that's really important and relevant. So I'm going to be reading the top 10 myths on their website, although I will say that there are many myths that exist out there, more than these 10, but I'm just going to be naming these 10 and debunking them because they're all crazy. Here's one of the first things that it says. Lyme disease has become one of the fastest growing epidemics in the nation. According to the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, there are more than 330,000 new cases in the US each year. Getting the facts about Lyme disease isn't always easy. Here are some of the biggest myths about the illness and the information you need to protect yourself, your family, and pets from tick bites so you can safely enjoy the outdoors. So if anything, I hope that this is an informative video. I hope it helps people, spreads awareness for this silent epidemic that's happening. Myth number 1. Lyme always causes a bullseye rash. Okay. Although most people associate Lyme disease with the bullseye-shaped erythema migrans rash, less than 50% of patients develop one. Early-stage Lyme can manifest as a mild flu-like illness with a headache, stiff neck, or a rash that's pale or oddly positioned. I can't say it well. Erythema migrans rash, that's what the bullseye rash is called in medical terms. It can look like a lot of different things. It can present in many different ways. For me, it actually looked like a bullseye rash. You can go on my Instagram if you're curious and look at it. It looks like a bullseye. A lot of the time also, it can present as just a uniform red lesion, disseminated lesions, like a few different spots on your arm or leg or wherever you were bit, the blue-red kind of rash. A lot of people, when they get bit, mistake it for a spider bite or a mosquito bite or some kind of weird insect bite that they kind of don't think about. They think it off because they don't think it's any problem when it's really a Lyme rash. A lot of times people don't remember a rash as well. I was one of the lucky ones that even had a rash. Most people don't remember a rash. A lot of the times Lyme will come and go on its own and people don't realize that's what it was because they'll think, oh, it's just like a summer flu or I have a cold, because it just seems like you're sick, you know? It just seems like a virus type thing where you have a headache and a fever and you're like, oh crap, then you get over it. Months later you're like, why does my head hurt all the time? Hands and legs tingling all the time. It's kind of really insidious like that. It's hard to catch because it changes so often. And how it first presents is different in everybody. A lot of the times people don't know that they even got infected. It does not always cause a bullseye rash. If you ever have a weird or odd bug bite, I would recommend going to the doctor just in case because you never know. Myth number 2. Lyme is an East Coast illness only. Although it's more prevalent in the Northeast and Midwest, Lyme disease has been reported in all 50 states and is a problem around the globe. It is endemic in parts of Europe, Asia, Australia, and Canada, and is even found in the Amazon region of Brazil. That's a huge misconception. Even though it originated in Lyme, Connecticut in the 1970s, since then it has spread throughout the country and throughout the world because ticks migrate. They migrate by hopping on animals like birds, mice, deer that migrate around the country and spread the disease with them. It might have started in the Northeast and it might be like more prevalent here, but it's everywhere. Like people have been diagnosed with Lyme in every state in this country, multiple other countries. It's really disappointing that still to this day, doctors who live in other countries or live in the like west of the United States, the south of the United States, say Lyme doesn't exist here, because that's just not true. It's everywhere. You wouldn't say something like, you know, HIV doesn't exist here, or your autoimmune illness doesn't exist here. Like, it's crazy like that. Yeah, it is not just an East Coast illness, it's everywhere, and everyone has to be diligent in checking and being aware of the dangers of Lyme, no matter where you live. Myth number 3, you'll know when you've been bitten by a tick. Ticks have a numbing agent in their saliva, so you don't feel anything when one first bites you. You probably won't even know that a tick is feeding. Most people don't ever recall seeing a tick latched onto them. I have never seen a tick on me in my life. I wouldn't be surprised if I've been bit before, because I live in New York in a kind of a woodsy area, so they're all around me. I wouldn't be surprised if I've been bit by some and I just never saw, because they can be as small as a pinhead. So I guarantee you will not know if you were bit. Kind of like other insects where you kind of like may feel them, like a bee obviously would feel it sting you, a mosquito you might feel it like crawling, or like you feel it feels itchy after a while. Ticks, you don't feel them. You don't feel anything when it's biting you, so you will never know that you were bit. And that's another problem that people don't know, is that they say, well, I've never been bit by a tick. Nobody can say, I don't think anybody can say that, because you never know. Nymphs, baby ticks, are the size of a poppy seed. Are you gonna see a poppy seed like on your scalp? Probably not. Another myth that I want to like sneak in here, even though it is on this website, but I just want to sneak it in here, is that only ticks carry Lyme disease. It has been found in other insects such as spiders, mosquitoes, biting flies, bed bugs. All these different vectors have been found to carry Lyme and co-infection. So it's not just ticks. You need to be wary of any insect bite you get and any symptoms you may develop from then on out. Myth number 4 is ticks die in winter. Many believe that ticks die in winter, but that's not true. Temperatures have to drop below 10 degrees Fahrenheit for a long time in order for ticks to start dying. And thanks to climate change, that's not the reality, even in the northern states anymore. Although this past February was the coldest month for many northeast and midwest areas, I think this was published in a different year than this year. The heavy snow paradoxically, yes, provided a layer of insulation for black-legged ticks that are now questing for blood as the weather warms up. It's not just a spring-summer illness like so many people think it is. Ticks are active, I've heard, like 20 degrees, 30 degrees and above, and that's pretty standard for winter in a lot of places, 20 to 30 degrees Fahrenheit. But you can't discount tick-borne illness in the winter, because it can happen in the winter as well. You need to be careful all times of the year. Myth number 5. You have to be near deer to be exposed to deer ticks. If you don't see any deer and think the coast is clear, think again. Black-legged ticks, or deer ticks, carry the bacterium that causes Lyme disease. They feed on small mice, chipmunks, squirrels, rabbits, birds, deer, and even on dogs and cats. So yeah, even if you live in an area that doesn't have like deer always around you, I live in the Northeast where I have deer all the time in my backyard, front yard, like everywhere. If you're in somewhere like Arizona or Utah, where like I don't think deer are really prevalent there, Lyme is still present because dogs can get it, cats can get it, all different kinds of other like mammals, small animals can get these diseases. Just because you live in an area that doesn't have deer, that doesn't mean that you're not exposed. Sorry, it's everywhere. Myth number 6. Ticks fall from trees. Ticks don't jump, fly, or drop from trees. They crawl up on tree bark. If you discover a tick on your head or back, it's probably because it latched onto your foot or leg and crawled up your body, and not because it fell off a tree branch. Minimize your exposure by tucking pant legs into socks and shoes, wear long sleeve shirts, and tuck your shirt into pants to keep ticks on the outside of clothing. This is really important. I think a lot of people think that you have to be like hiking or like in the mountains or in the deep woods to like have a tick. I was sitting in my backyard the other day, literally a few weeks ago. I was sitting in my backyard for like an hour, and I came in, scratched my head, and a tick fell off my head. Thank God it didn't attach. But that just goes to show you, like, it can happen anywhere, even in your backyard. I think this has good information about preventing getting bit in the first place. A good method is to tuck your pants into your socks if you're hiking or in a woodsy area. You know, like, you'll really be exposed, like, because they can't, like, crawl up your pant leg that way. Other methods people use are to take a shower when they first come in from being outside for a long time. Take a hot shower. Ticks don't like heat. They usually die in heat. Take a hot shower, check yourself, look all over your body. As soon as you come in, throw your clothes in the dryer on high for like 15 minutes. Heat that comes from the dryer will kill any ticks that happen to be on your clothes. Those are all good methods of prevention. Light clothing is preferred because ticks are dark. You know, you see them? They're like black and brown. If you wear light clothing, you're more likely to see it on your clothes than if you're wearing like all black or like dark clothing. Myth number 7, this kind of goes along with what I was just saying before. Hiking and camping are the most common ways to catch a tick-borne disease. It's important to make tick bite prevention an important part of your outdoor plans, whether you're gardening, camping, hiking, biking, or just even playing outdoors. Although black-legged ticks live in moist and humid environments, particularly in or near grassy or wooded areas, they will cling to brush and shrubs and live in lawns and gardens, especially at the edges of woods and around old stone walls. So this is another big misconception that you need to have gone hiking or camping or been in a really woodsy area to be bit by a tick. Like I said before, I didn't get bit, but I found a tick on me in my backyard, and I was out there for an hour, like not even a long time. It's very important to be diligent and check, because they live everywhere, even like in urban areas. Like, you don't have to live in a rural or suburban area to get bit. Like, people in New York City have been bit and gotten Lyme, but they get carried by animals, birds, dogs, like animals that are all around us. It doesn't matter where you live, it doesn't matter whether you're in the South or West or Midwest, it's everywhere. So you just need to be careful. Myth number 8, if the blood test is negative, you don't have Lyme. This one makes me the most livid, I think. Tests for detecting Lyme disease are often inaccurate. At present, your doctor will probably recommend 2-tiered blood testing requiring a positive ELISA test result. Doctors commonly order an ELISA first to screen for the disease, then confirm it with a Western blot. The ELISA measures the total amount of antibodies produced by the body in response to the Lyme bacteria. However, it may miss over half of Lyme cases because antibodies may not be high enough to detect, giving a false negative result. This one makes me the most infuriated. The testing we have for Lyme currently is so outdated and so poor and provides way too many false negatives. It doesn't even test for the actual Lyme or like bacteria in your blood. It tests for the antibodies that your body makes against the bacteria. This is problematic for a lot of reasons. First of all, you may test too early into being infected, and your body takes a few weeks to develop antibodies against the bacteria. So if you test too early, it may be negative, and that may be wrong because your body hasn't had time to develop antibodies yet. Secondly, a lot of the time after you get infected with Lyme, it doesn't stay in the blood. It will go into your tissue, your bones, your nerves, your like muscles, everything. So it doesn't like to hang out in the bloodstream. To catch the antibodies for it in a blood test is pretty rare and pretty hard to do. Usually the CDC says that you need 5 antibody bands positive out of 10 in order to have a positive Lyme result. You heard it here first. This strict 5-band reporting criteria is for CDC reporting purposes only. It is so the CDC can underreport the amount of cases that there actually are to make it seem like it's not as big of a problem as it is. This is why so many people fall through the cracks and get misdiagnosed as having lupus, depressive disorder, MS, ALS, rheumatoid arthritis, all these other things people get misdiagnosed with because they will have a negative, according to the CDC, blood test that's not really negative, but this strict reporting criteria tells them that it is, so they think that it's negative, but it's really not. A lot of doctors that are Lyme literate and know how it works will say that even having 1 to 3 bands positive out of the 10 means that you're positive for Lyme. I've never had a positive blood test. Like I said, the blood tests are extremely unreliable, extremely faulty. I've only ever had 1 band positive on my blood tests out of the 10. I know that's false. I know that's false. And I've talked to so many other people on Lyme groups online that have only had 1 band, and doctors say you can't possibly have Lyme, you have 1 antibody band. But there's so many reasons why your body might not produce antibodies at the time, and it's just crazy that it's still being used. This method of catching Lyme in the blood is still being used because it's so false. So I've never had a positive blood test, but like I have history with a bullseye rash, and my symptoms all like line up with the classic symptoms of Lyme or like other co-infections. Blood tests are notoriously bad for Lyme. Even the best one we have, using a lab out of Palo Alto, California called iGenix, that's the best Lyme lab that exists out there. Even that one is only 60% accurate. So a test that you'll do at your doctor is usually less than 40% accurate. Imagine if you were going and being tested for something like HIV or some other like life-threatening illness, and they tell you, oh, this test is like only 40% accurate, 50% accurate. Would you trust it? No, you wouldn't. You'd be like, what the hell? I need real results. And that's one of the biggest problems with Lyme disease nowadays, is that the testing is so faulty and so incorrect. It needs to be changed, needs to be updated, and the CDC needs to change its criteria so that less people get misdiagnosed and mistreated. Because people will get misdiagnosed as another illness and then be treated for the wrong illness and get sicker because they're not being treated correctly. They're being treated for something they don't have. So it's really frustrating, and a lot of people fall victim to this system, unfortunately, and it really sucks, and I hope that it changes within the next few years because it's ridiculous. Myth number 9, antibiotics cure everyone within 2 to 3 weeks. Studies show that as many as 20% of patients continue to exhibit symptoms even after they complete antibiotic treatment. What's more, many of these individuals turn out to have co-infections transmitted by the same ticks that gave them Lyme. These co-infections don't always respond to treatments for Lyme disease itself. That's me. I fall into that category of that 20% of patients that continue to exhibit symptoms after they finish initial antibiotics. The CDC and like mainstream medicine will call that PTLDS, which stands for post-treatment Lyme disease syndrome. And Lyme-literate doctors and people that understand Lyme will call that chronic Lyme disease. It's the exact same symptoms as Lyme, this post-treatment Lyme disease syndrome they talk about. And it's kind of ridiculous that they like think that it's something else even after antibiotics, because it's proven, it's been shown in studies that Lyme can be chronic, and Lyme has been extracted from people after years of antibiotics. So obviously they don't work for everybody. I took 27 days of antibiotics about 3 weeks after I got bit, and I still have problems. I still have issues to this day, 2 years later. I fell into that 20% that have chronic Lyme, post-treatment Lyme disease syndrome. And that's another big problem, is that doctors will give antibiotics for a bite and an initial infection, which is good, but usually it's not enough. A lot of doctors will give 2 to 3 weeks, and the life cycle of Lyme is at least 28 days, so you're not even killing one life cycle of this bacteria. Another thing is that co-infections that you may have from a tick bite or an insect bite that come with Lyme, you don't treat them the same way you treat Lyme. Like a big co-infection that's common with Lyme disease is Babesia, and it is a parasite, and it's similar to malaria. A parasite can't be treated or killed with antibiotics because it's not bacteria, it's parasite. So you don't treat co-infections the same way you treat Lyme. And it's kind of treated as just like one kind of antibiotic cure-all for 2 weeks and you're good. And for some people that does work. It kind of is so insidious, like I said before, because for some people it does work and they like are cured, they never have any symptoms, but then other people continue to have symptoms throughout their life. So everyone's so different. A Lyme literate doctor will say that for an initial bite, you need at least 6 to 8 weeks of antibiotics and antimalarials to kill that infection. So this is the last one. We made it to the end. Myth number 10. You can remove a tick with a match or by painting it with nail polish. Forget any advice you've heard about holding a match to the end of a tick, swabbing it with nail polish, or suffocating it with petroleum jelly. You want to remove an embedded tick from your body. The easiest and safest way is to pull it out gently with tweezers. Grasp the tick close to its head, then slowly lift it away from the skin. Don't twist it or jerk it, because this will cause the mouth parts to break off and possibly remain in your skin. All those things you hear online or maybe from people around you saying how to take ticks out, if it's any method other than using tweezers to get the head out as quickly as possible, then don't do it. A lot of the times it will just irritate the tick and make them either latch on even harder, or if you try to like squeeze it and just pull it off, you're squeezing its stomach, like its insides, and by squeezing it you could be emptying its stomach contents into your bloodstream, and that's where all the bacteria is. That's how it transmits bacteria. So if you jerk it, you could be getting bacteria into you, so that's not what you want to do. You want to get tweezers, get as close to the head and mouth where it's attached as you can, lift it up, save it, don't flush it or burn it. As you know, hellish as they are, don't kill it. Send it to a laboratory that will test the tick for any bacteria that it may have. A lot of places to do this are like ticknology.com, tickreport.com. There are other ones where you can send the tick to these laboratories and the labs will test the tick itself for any bacteria that it's carrying. And then you go to your doctor for prophylactic antibiotics just in case. If you get your tick report back and it says it's negative for all these bacteria, then you know that you're good. A lot of the tests that actually test the ticks for bacteria themselves are more accurate than like human Lyme testing. Usually if they don't have any bacteria, you're good, because it looks for the bacteria in itself in the tick. That's why it's more accurate. And if it does have a positive and you're positive for Lyme or other co-infections, then you need to find a Lyme litter doctor and make a comprehensive treatment plan so you know that you're killing everything that you got from that bite. Thank you guys for listening to this video. I hope it was educational. I hope it was informative. I hope you maybe learned something that you didn't know before. You're able to now help yourself and possibly others from acquiring this illness. It is something that is really difficult to treat. Mainstream medicine calls Lyme something that's hard to get and easy to treat, and it's exactly the opposite. It's easy to get and hard as hell to treat. Those were the top 10 myths, or 11 because I added another one in there. Although there are many more that exist out there and you can look them up online if you want. I'm glad that you may have enjoyed this video, you may have learned something, and I hope you guys all stay safe, especially now during the summer months. It's a year-long illness, but especially during the summer it's more prevalent and the ticks are more active. So please be safe, be careful. I hope you are more aware after this Lyme Disease Awareness Month about what to do if you do get bit. Know that prevention is key. So if you can prevent yourself from getting bit in the first place, then you don't even have to deal with any of this other stuff, this other treatment stuff that you don't want. Thank you guys for watching this video. I am going to be updating my channel soon on a treatment that I'm starting soon called bee venom therapy. It is a therapy that has been proven to be more effective against Lyme and co-infections than antibiotics. Bee venom is actually 1,200 times more potent than penicillin. It sounds kind of out there and wacky, but it's a proven protocol. So many people have achieved full recoveries with bee venom, and I'm going to be starting next week. So after I kind of get into the groove of doing it, I will probably post a video on what that treatment looks like for me, how it works, and any more information on it if you guys are interested. There's also studies backing it up and things that I can provide if anyone is interested. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Stay safe. Bye.